first, it came right only in odd matches, mainly in the FA Cup.
Neil. McDermott. And Lee. And away goes Rhodes Brown. Now, has he got the nerve to hold on? He has! Chelsea ahead! Rhodes Brown, the scorer, his first goal of the season, and it puts the underdogs into the lead. Played there for Walker. Can Chelsea find something here? Oh, Kobayashi triple goal! Colin Lee!
Chelsea couldn't sustain that form. They scored twice against Spurs in the 6th round, but lost. (1982), a new chairman, Ken Bates, a man prepared to put his money where his mouth was, and never reticent about putting his mouth where his money was. A man who was going to make Chelsea noticed again, but wasn't prepared to put them through the bankruptcy court to do it.
Well, to start with, it wasn't a football club, it was a social club, with a bit of football played on Saturdays occasionally. It wasn't run as a business. There were far too many people on the payroll who weren't working. Even down, I think we had the only lottery in the league that lost money.
While the chairman made sure the club didn't go bust, the manager was having a hard time keeping the team afloat. It was a partnership with a common ambition, but their first season together tested it to the limit. Following a draw at Craven Cottage in April, Chelsea took only 3 points from the next 6 games.
And in fact, from the Easter onward, we'll be saying as soon as we're safe, we'll put the kids in and blood the kids and give them a chance. But our lot were so bad they couldn't even get us safe by Easter. So we just had to hang in there.
And on a wet Saturday afternoon at Bolton, a Clive Walker goal staved off relegation. Nevertheless, Chelsea finished in the lowest place in their history. The following season, money was at last available for players. There were 6 signings. Eddie Niedzwiecki, Joe McLaughlin, Nigel Spackman, Pat Nevin and John Hollins back at the Bridge after 8 years away. And there was Kerry Dixon, reviving memories of a long line of idolised number 9s. The season started at home to Derby. Dixon scored twice, Chelsea won 5-0. And that was only the beginning.
Flick on by Dixon for Speedy. That's good play by Chelsea. David Speedy. Chelsea must be looking for something here. It's Nevin. And here's Kerry Dixon with a great chance. And somehow he's made it.
Dixon the target here. Cannaville. Oh yes, Speedy. Dixon. What a fantastic goal. Well, that was perfection.
Chelsea was sure of promotion with 3 games to play. The championship was still to be decided.
We just passed coach after coach after coach after coach. It was like the Armada, ships astern. They were going to Grimsby, being the champion.
Kerry Dixon headed the goal that rewarded all their labours. John Neal, the architect, couldn't bear to watch and retired for a cup of tea. After 5 years in the 2nd division, Chelsea were champions. The East Stand filled again to see how the Blues would cope with the new challenge. The Shed had little doubt.
McLaughlin's there. So is Dixon. Speedy! Yes! Nevin. Yes!
Moving up a division did nothing to check the flow of Dixon goals. They also spilled over into the Milk Cup.
Nevin, great play. Teasing cross 2, and that's another. Dixon gets his hat-trick.
But first, they had to go to Hillsborough, where they found themselves 3 down at half-time.
Chelsea starting the second half with their substitute Paul Cannaville on. Colin Lee's the man who's gone off. So Chelsea with problems at the start of the match, and they've got more now in the second half. Cannaville playing out wide on the left and involved early. Oh, what a start! Was that his first touch of the ball? Astonishing. Speedy for Chelsea. Mickey Thomas. Kerry Dixon wasn't offside. Is this number 28? Kerry Dixon took that awfully well. A quality finish from a quality player. Spackman battling for possession. Speedy to Nevin. Now let's see something from little Pat Nevin. And forced to turn by Mick Lyons. Magic goal by Mickey Thomas. And incredibly, Chelsea have pulled it back. It's 3 apiece. The ball for Dixon to chase, and he'll get there. Oh, he's found Cannaville! Chelsea have done it!
But still there was time for a Wednesday penalty equaliser. Chelsea won the second replay, but the semi-final was a minefield. Joe McLaughlin dislocated his elbow in the first leg at Roker Park. Sunderland converted 2 penalties. In the second game, Clive Walker scored twice against his former club. Beaten 5-2 on aggregate, Chelsea's misery was compounded by crowd violence during and after the game. In May, David Speedy won his first cap for Scotland, and the following season his scoring feats lent distinction to a little-considered competition. Chelsea won the 9-goal final of the full Members' Cup.
Still Chelsea in possession with McAllister, looking for Nevin, far side, away, not very far, another chance for Speedy! Nevin so skillful on the ball, and gets round Reed, it might go in, it certainly does! Chelsea are the first winners of the full Members' Cup final.
By now, John Hollins had been put in charge. The Blues finished 6th for the second successive season. But the man who'd been such a favourite as a player couldn't carry the fans with him as a manager. Discontent on the terraces became hysteria in the headlines. Bobby Campbell took over with Chelsea heading for the relegation playoffs. Despite Gordon Dury's second-leg goal against Middlesbrough, they couldn't avert the drop. As if that were not enough, the hooligan element again made their unwanted contribution. Bobby Campbell knew there was no easy way back. He needed experience, steel, and a leader on the field. He bought them in a package from Rangers, Graham Roberts to skipper the side and marshal the defence. Then he turned to Aberdeen for Peter Nicholas to do a similar job in midfield. The start wasn't good, 3 points from 6 games. That was followed by an upturn and then a flourish against Plymouth. Kerry Dixon was among the scorers. And so was Gordon Dury, a still maturing striker brought to the club by John Hollins.
You box Dury, well, he doesn't know how good he could be. People say he's going to be this, he's going to be that. They don't know how good he's going to be. Because when you live with him and you see him in training, and you see his assets and his quality, he doesn't know how good he's going to be. And once he reaches maturity at the age of 23, 24, he will be something.
Here at Walsall, Dury became the first Chelsea player since Bobby Tambling to score 5 goals in a league game. When Bobby Campbell paid the club's biggest fee, £725,000 for goalkeeper Dave Besant, Chelsea were already well into a club record sequence, 27 league games without defeat.
Joe McLaughlin also brings height to the Chelsea set pieces. Dibble is impeded. And the goal counts, and it's Kerry Dixon's. That's Dixon. Has he got away from Gale? He has. It's Wilson in the centre, 2-0 to Chelsea. Blake dispossessed, and it's an amazing break by Chelsea. And Tony DeRigo, who goes round Dibble and finishes it all in style.
April 22nd, the visitors to Stamford Bridge, Leeds United. One more win would seal promotion. Once again, the old rivals met in a game of more than ordinary significance.
Dixon will keep it in. Noel Blake's been pulled wide. Kerry Dixon, the turn by Wilson. Bumstead, Chelsea are ahead. John Bumstead, their longest serving player.
1-0 guaranteed promotion. Manchester City's defeat at Main Road the same day meant that Chelsea were champions too. They took delivery of the trophy at the end of the final home game. When the party was over, the chairman returned to a serious issue that had clouded Chelsea's long-term planning for several years. They don't own Stamford Bridge. Negotiations to buy it have been tortuous, but the board have pressed ahead with plans for yet another new bridge. Plans that would surely get the nod from the shade of Gus Mears, whose vision started it all.
What Stamford Bridge is going to be for our supporters is home for home. Whatever they would expect to find in their home, they will find at Stamford Bridge. When? When is a good question. I can't answer that, simply because we haven't resolved the legal position over the ground yet. But it is inevitable. The timing is uncertain.